Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross from PTCGRadio, and I'm back with another game I played on PTCGO, the official online program of the Pokemon trading card game. And I'm again featuring the Seismitoad Mewtwo Garbodor deck that you've currently seen me play against Aromatisse, and also against a big basics deck. Once again, I don't start with Seismitoad. You should be used to this by now. I didn't start with Seismitoad the last two games, and spoiler alert, I'm not going to start with Seismitoad the next two games. And I'm also going second. Now, I put up a fair few of the videos I play, because the competition on PTCGO is a lot better than it was, and you'll see that I tend to go second quite a lot. My record in tournaments, if anyone's wondering, is 13 competitive games in a row going second, spanning, I think it was the end of one tournament, the whole of another, and the start of a third. But actually here, I'm not that worried. It seems like I'm playing against a dark deck with Garbodor, so I'm expecting Yveltal coming in. But I've got the Ultra Ball there to get my Seismitoad. I've got the Muscle Band. I've got the Computer Search, which will get me a DCE for my Seismitoad, and then I can play the Juniper to get a whole new hand of 7, hopefully drawing into a Float Stone or my one Escape Rope, and I do draw into the Escape Rope, which is lovely, and a Float Stone, as a little side note. So I'm able to get that Seismitoad attacking turn 1. Now, I do play a full complement of 4 Ultra Balls, and I do play a bunch of I think 3 Float Stone, 1 Escape Rope, because I know I'm not going to start with Seismitoad, so I want to give my chance of drawing it early doors. Now, I hit the Virbank, but I don't hit the laser, so a subtle play here, I'm not playing the Virbank City Gym. Why would I? Virbank City Gym is doing nothing for me this particular turn, but if my opponent hits a laser next turn, that Virbank City Gym will do an extra 30 damage for him. And why would I want to play a stadium that may help my opponent on his next turn, but isn't helping me on my current turn? That, ladies and gentlemen, would be a little bit silly, so I'm not going to do it. Now, he plays a Lasan there for my Reshiram, and as a side note, that's why I didn't play the Float Stone. Because now, I can just attach the Float Stone to the Reshiram and retreat him. And I don't need the Float Stone on the Trubbish, because my opponent's playing a Garbodor deck. I may well get my Garbodor out later to stop his Dark Cloak, but it's nothing I'm worrying about too much. Now, here I'm going for the Laser. Now, I know I could get a supporter here, but I get a quick KO here, and I get an extra card, and my game plan at this particular moment is I'm just going to Quaking Punch for a while. I don't need a lot of cards, so I can afford to, and I did draw a Juniper, which is nice, but I can afford to potentially not draw a bunch of cards off of that. But knowing when to play and not to play cards is important. By not playing the Virbank City Gym, I didn't run into a potential extra 20 damage from my opponent, and by not playing that Float Stone on the Trubbish when I could have done, and a lot of people instantly put Float Stone onto Trubbish for Garbodor, it meant that I was able to go ahead and retreat the Reshiram. Now, the good news is I've actually drawn into a Colress and a Juniper off my opponent's end, so I no longer have to N away the, I would have had to attach or Juniper that DCE, not an issue now, and his N actually has done very well for me. You can see I've got a max potion there, so if and when my opponent starts doing damage, I can pop that DCE down. And I get a Quaking Punch. The reason I don't play the DCE there is because some of these decks have started playing Enhanced Hammer. Why play a card which I may or may not go wrong? Playing a single Water Energy does 3 things. First of all, it saves that DCE, so I can use it later. Secondly, it allows me to get a Water Energy down to potentially use Grenade Hammer in the future. And thirdly, it I forgot what the third reason is. But it means it's still in my deck. It means I can get a DCE. Oh, and it means I can attach it later, because a lot of the time, late game, you really want a DCE. So I would rather have my DCE in the deck late game. Now, here you see the downside of a deck like Seismitoad. Now, I think I'm going to put that DCE on the Mewtwo here. I'm giving myself, firstly, I don't need it on the Seismitoad, but also I'm giving myself the option of a big Mewtwo later. And playing the Juniper there just because I want more cards. Now, a big downside of, and I'm locking him there. Right, here's the deal. A big downside of a Seismitoad type deck is if my opponent can do consistent damage. That Yveltal will be consistently 2-hitting me, and he can build it up for a big Evil Ball. So sooner or later, like I said in my last video, I'm going to have to make the decision to stop using Seismitoad and start using probably Mewtwo as my attacker, or maybe even start grenade hammering. I'm going to have to give him trainers back at some point. But the question is, how long until I actually go ahead and do that? By putting Garbodor out, what I'm stopping him doing is using Darkrai's Dark Cloak for free retreat. If he wants to retreat, he's going to have to pay the retreat cost. So he gets the KO there, and he's starting to build up another Yveltal on the bench. Not 100% worried about that, except for my stupid lack of supporters. Now, I have Junipered a couple of supporters this game, but there's still, like I say, I play 14 in a computer search, which I know I've used a computer search. But there's plenty of supporters in the deck. I'm hoping they come out soon. Now the question here is, do I go for the Mewtwo, or do I, for the time being, continue going for the Trainer Lock? And I'm going to go for the Trainer Lock for a little while. Now I'm not going to be able to go on this track forever. He is going to end up... and you see there, I think I've used 7 of my 14 supporters. And for some reason it won't tell me how many are left in my deck. Oh, there's 22 left in my deck. So 1 in 3 cards in my deck at this point is a supporter card. And I hit a Juniper there, so all is good in the world. Now I'm going to max potion my Seismitoad because, as previously mentioned, I've kept my DCEs in my deck as much as I can, and I've got float stones in there as well, so if I don't hit the DCE, I can go for a bit of the old Mewtwo action. And I don't actually hit either there, but I do hit 3 draw supporters. So just like in the last game, the program is mocking me by giving me no supporters, and then I support her into a bunch of supporters. But like I said in the last game, or maybe it was this game, I forget, I'm recording them concurrently. You need to be able to win the games that are going badly. So he plays an Enhanced Hammer there, like I said. I was expecting something like that. It's not the end of the world. I think I've got 2 DCE in the discard pile there, and I have. That means I've got 2 left in my deck, and I'm going to be Colressing for 9 as a minimum next turn. Maybe 10 if he benches another Pokemon. So I'm really not that worried here. He hasn't got a DCE, so all he's going to be able to do is Evil Ball for 60, and you can see that I've got the max potion in hand to get rid of that damage. And hopefully I can then Muscle Band, Colress for a DCE and a Laser, and start hitting again. Or maybe not Muscle Band, so that I can have more chance of drawing into a Float Stone, getting that active Seismitoad out of the actives. So this game could go either way here at the moment, but you'll see there he's got a Yveltal on the bench with 2 DCE, and I've got a Mewtwo. 2 Mewtwo, in fact. And I play Lysandra in this deck, not Lysander. So, with my Lysandra and my Mewtwo, etc., it's far from panic stations. Now, missing that attack was a big deal. My couple turns without supporters was a big deal. It's not going anywhere near as well as it could go at this stage, but I'm not out of it yet. Now, the bad news is, missing that attack last turn gave him access to trainers again, which means that he can play down his tools like Muscle Band or Float Stone. It means he can play a Scramble Switch. Now this is a very risky play indeed, especially if he doesn't get the KO. And he's not going to unless he drops a laser right now. If he drops a laser, he's got the KO. If he doesn't drop a laser, as far as I'm concerned, this is a bad play. Now, he hasn't got the laser, so he hits me for 90, moves the DCE to the bench, but look at all that energy on there. Now I'm going to max potion the Seismitoad. I'm going to Muscle Band the Mewtwo, and I believe here, and I'm Colressing for 10, I hit the DCE, I hit the laser, I hit the Float Stone. And again, although I'm getting slightly lucky here in a way, you'll see I've been playing this game in such a way as to preserve those cards, playing them when I need to, not wasting them. So, now I get to retreat, I get to use a Mewtwo, and I believe, and I'm also going to Power Pad to get 2 Colress back into my deck. Power Pad, hugely underrated card, absolutely brilliant. It gets my Lysandra back, or if I'm behind, it gets my End back, or if I'm ahead in a game like this, Colress is what you need. I've now got loads of Colress, at least 3, in my deck. You'll notice I've also got 3 draw supporters in hand. So at the moment, my opponent is now properly on the ropes. He made a bad play with the scramble switch. To be fair, Y Cycloning was the best play after the scramble switch, so it made my Mewtwo KO harder. But had he checked my discard, he would have been able to deduce that there's a couple of Muscle Band left, a couple of Lasers left, and 2 DCE left in my deck. Not to mention Floatstone. So he should have known that was all in there. Now here, the game is not looking good for him. I've got the Mewtwo there, I've got Lysandre, not Lysander. He's got an Yveltal on the bench, which I believe has got about 70 damage, if I see that correctly. I'm looking at a smaller screen than you guys are, but I think it's about 70. And I've got a Colress in my hand for 10. So I can hit this Mewtwo, this active Yveltal for a bunch of damage here. I've still, remember, got a DCE left in my deck, but I don't need to attach it. This turn I can pop a Water Energy onto my Mewtwo, and then I can play the Colress, and then next turn, if he hasn't done anything, I can Lysandre one of his 2, what will then be one of his 2 half-dead Yveltal, and KO it with my second Mewtwo. He is going to lose this game, so he's gone inactive, and I win. Now, I like to think that his internet cut out, or he's done what I do far too often and click the X on PTCGO, not on the actual game window, to close the program, not the game. But unfortunately, it happened coincidentally at the time where I had the win. So, I think he just stormed off in a bit of a huff, shall we say. But Seismitoad Mewtwo takes down the big basics deck. Hopefully that was interesting. There are more Seismitoad Mewtwo Garbodor videos coming up in the near future, and maybe a deck breakdown if you're very lucky. As always, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Check out the podcast, and I will see you back here soon.